Hey everyone, it's time for day 14 of Alone with You. Last time I think we went to the communications tower, found Winnie's dead body, had the dead body hologram talk with hologram Winnie, and I think the last place we maybe are gonna be sent to is probably gonna be Colony B to find Pierre Tong's dead body. But I think he's the only dead body we haven't found. I don't know where Corey's gonna send us to find it, but Colony B would be my guess. He says, I guess we have no choice in what we need to do today. Come and see me right away. Well, I'm not gonna come to see you right away. First, we have to do the daily ritual of looking at the screen. I was concerned that yesterday's discovery would weaken Miss Laurier's ability to continue her work, but her work report showed great progress, and I think she used the situation as a catalyst to support you even more than usual. She wanted me to tell you, even though she knows her story was sad, she isn't going to let yours end that way. That's what she said. That's what she said. It is good to hear that the holograms are helping us as we hoped. We need every advantage we can get. I mean, you're right about that, Corey. We do need every advantage we can get. But I think we've done a pretty good job so far of buttering up these holograms and getting them the data they need to get the job done, so to speak. Looks like I can't put this off any longer. We've done everything else we can, and finding that plant in the agrodomes was a huge win for us. But the escape ship lacks a functioning food processor. I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this, but Colony B is the last place we can look for one, and without it, you'll starve on the way back home. Well, then we definitely have to get it, don't we, Corey? Why don't you want to get me a food processor? As much as I don't want to, please, just plot a course to Colony B in the shuttle bay and let's get this over with. What's your problem, dude? Why do you hate Colony B? We have to get that food processor, my dude. I can't be starving to death. Listen, I will look at 100 dead bodies if I have to. I'll put them in the food processor and make them into food if I have to. I believe in some cultures human meat is referred to as long pig, and pork is looking mighty tasty tonight. Based on what little information I was able to receive, the Colony B living spaces became very volatile in their final months. I really don't want to go in there, but we need to see if we can get our hands on that food processing unit. Everything we've discovered at the agrodomes would be in vain if we can't get a working unit installed in the escape ship. So I guess head inside and I'll guide you from there. Why don't we just get the food unit from the base that we're living at, Colony A? I'm sure it has a working one, otherwise we would have starved to death already, right? But whatever. You should be in Hall A south of the Colony B crew quarters. The food processing unit should be in the mess hall. That door should be to your right. Please, let's just check the mess hall first. If we don't have to go any further, I'd rather not. Corey is so squeamish. It's a ration unit for emergency supplies. It's completely empty. I wonder if, like, there's something Corey is hiding from us. Like, in Colony B, he had to murder everybody, and now he doesn't want us to see the evidence of that or something. Those posters were made from hand-drawn slogans and images on the backs of readouts and technical blueprints. Their slogans vary, but ask essentially the same question. Where is Pierre Tong? Apparently, the director was not popular after the Rift event. Yeah, I mean, you need your leader to present a strong, optimistic front. There's an alert on this display that says, please enter room codes in correct sequence. Milada El-Amin, Elazar Sari, Sarabjit Bouchard, Mingan Rumsey, and Kaylee Pajari. You'll have to figure out which quarters belong to which colonists, I suppose, and enter their room codes here in that order. Okay. I'm gonna have to come back and consult the ordering, but now I know as I'm going through here, I'm gonna be writing down which rooms belong to whom. Actually, hold on a sec, I'm gonna get a piece of paper right now to write it on. Alright, good to go. There's a terminal over there that might have info we can use, so we can make this quick. Let's check it out. Over where? Looks like they were keeping sleeping bags in the hallways for some reason. Those beds were constructed with emergency materials and some hasty stitching. With much of the colony damaged, crowding must have been a major problem. Judging by the scan, different families and colonists used the beds over time, likely in rotation. This is not how people should live. Yeah, it's kind of sketchy to have to like share the same sleeping bag with like in shifts with a bunch of people. Like if you don't even have a sleeping bag to call your own, that's rough. Alright, let's go to room 1. Or not. Let's take a look at that terminal first. I want to see what kind of information it has. What terminal? Oh, that terminal. Those hand-drawn signs read, days since Tong left us, 128. That number has been scratched out and rewritten several times. So I guess 28 is the last number. Other numbers have been scratched out that are smaller. Okay, let's use the terminal. This terminal contains reports related to the running of the colony after the Rift event. Perhaps we can use these to understand the situation at the time. From here you can access personnel profiles, incident reports, or council projections. Let's look at the personnel. Nothing personnel, kid. These reports give psychological breakdowns of many of the remaining colonists, as reported by head psychologist Sarabjit Bouchard. I'll load them up. First profile is on Communications Specialist Kaylee Pajari. Subject is dealing with breakdown of colony by focusing on her child. She maintains a hopeful attitude. When her partner is available to care for their child, subject uses spare time to exercise. I believe this has been key to her mental well-being. Yeah, I have heard that exercise is good for like working out your stress and that sort of thing. But personally, I don't do that. Just mainly because I try not to let myself get stressed enough to the point where I need to work it out through exercise or really any other means. But you know, sometimes you can't help it and stress builds up. So yeah, when that happens, I think exercise is a pretty good and healthy way to take care of it. The next profile is on Sanitation Supervisor Elazar Sari. Previous sessions with subject revealed a studious, calm individual. His pre-colony evals were always even. He remains focused on keeping calm and tidy to deal with the chaos around him. One unchanged facet is his desire for privacy, which is difficult with our new situation. The last profile is for Milada El Amin. Subject continues to work tirelessly in her capacity as terraforming analyst. She hoards data on the subject. She has allowed several colonists to share her quarters as space becomes difficult. I suspect her passive nature is allowing others to abuse her kindness, however. Those are all the relevant entries I could recover from the terminal. Do you want to access any other reports or exit the terminal? Let's look at incidents. In an attempt to maintain order, it appears the colonists formed a crude justice system whereby offenses were judged by peers and recorded. I mean, that's not that crude. It seems like if you have a justice system, that's much better than nothing. Assuming it's not like mob justice, where any little thing gets you like torn apart by an angry mob. Can you even call that a justice system? I guess you can call it one, but it's not a very good one. The most recent report reads, Technician Rumsey was detained after his third altercation with another colonist. His disruptive behavior is making things difficult. Yeah, start shit, get hit, Rumsey. You never heard that? Though his contributions to the overall effort are appreciated, his talent for aggressive intervention is becoming a liability. Actually, it seems like maybe other people were starting it and that he was doing the hitting, and people didn't appreciate that. In such a desperate situation, it must have been difficult to maintain a stable society. Do you want to access any other reports or exit the terminal? Let's look at projections. It looks like the colonists formed a rotating body to help organize the survivors and introduce some kind of order. The last entry is dated 2059, March 13th. Second scouting party to Colony A has not returned. Supplies are at their limit, and compromise to Colony B only worsens. With current population, survivability is only a matter of months. Water filters continue to function, but rations are running out. There's an addendum entered a few days later. The child of Colony B, Crystal Pujari, has sadly succumbed to malnutrition and disease. Even her mother has abandoned hope. Oh man, and that was like the one, like, pretty well-adjusted, hopeful person from what we've seen. So that sucks. How terrible. I had no idea. Honestly, I didn't. You want to access any other reports or exit the terminal? Well, we've seen everything there is to see here. And we can always come back if we need to. So, I looked at the terminal. Now Corey will let us look in the rooms. So, got textbooks. There are dozens of dusty textbooks and reference material about human behavior and psychology on that shelf. Humans really do like inefficient physical media. You keep talking about it, Corey. Like, I get it. Physical media sucks. You love Kindle and ebooks and all that. Okay, looks like some sleeping bags. There are a couple of sleeping areas set up for colonists, and the furniture has been moved to accommodate them. Got a locked bathroom. Got a bed. Despite the musty layer from being exposed to the damp air, the bed is tidily made. So whose room is this, do we think? Reference material about human behavior. Yeah, I'm not sure whose room this is, but I'll have to go back and figure out, you know, whose profile this fits. I guess that's the sort of big overarching puzzle in this place, is you have to match up the rooms to what you can dig up about the people, and then use that combination of information to open up the door to the cafeteria, which for some reason, to give us a puzzle to solve, the cafeteria is locked. There are obsessive collections of terraforming data and the atmosphere, all of it meticulously noted and organized. Okay, so I think we know whose room this is. I don't remember the name of the terraforming person, but this is definitely their room. There are several makeshift bedrolls on the floor. One of them is covered with the standard issue sheets that normally go on a bed. It almost looks like the occupant gave up their bed to someone else and slept on the floor instead. Okay, so this room is the pushover person, who I guess is also the same as the terraforming obsessed person. The sheets on the bed aren't standard, and there are personal items around it that don't match the decor of the room. So, yeah, I guess they gave up their bed to somebody. Photo depicts one of the female colonists, but it is too worn for me to properly analyze. Also can't go in the bathroom. So yeah, room 2 is the terraforming pushover. I'll have to look at the personnel files again to figure out what the name that goes with that is. So I'll do that now. So personnel. So actually, I'll put down that the psychologist is Bouchard. Because I think their room was the first one. Because of the psychology books in there. So I'll put down Pajari as the mother. Partner is apparently not important enough to name. I'll put down Sorry is calm. Tidy. Values privacy. And then Elamine is terraforming and passive. So I think she's the one that was in room 2. So yeah, let's see what the other rooms look like, and hopefully that'll help us figure out some more about whose room belongs to whom. Someone was making like pillow forts here. We've got whatever the heck this thing is. It's a portable med lab with extra supplies. There isn't anything left in it. Too bad we didn't find any of these in the medical facility. It's because they were all here, probably. Planters have been rigged with water drips in an attempt to grow food. Someone must have brought seeds back from the agrodomes. Well, that's good. These seeds probably weren't corrupted by those vines like the agrodomes. So let's look at room 3. I've got some junk on the shelf we can't look at. Oh. There's a tall curtain, privacy curtain to separate 2 halves of the room. So, I think we know that this is the privacy guy's room. Well, let's keep looking though. Replica of a Zen Buddhist phrase from Old Earth. It translates as beginner's mind. Well, if they like the idea of Zen, then yeah, it seems like the calm aspect of that guy's personality. And then the bed looks like it was made to military standards. The occupant appears to have been very neat and tidy. That also describes the same guy. So, tidy bed, likes Zen, likes privacy. So it's almost definitely this sorry guy. That small table is covered with rotting piles of books and storage disks. Some of them appear to contain information on sanitation. Oh yeah, maybe his job was also a relevant factor. I'm sure that was the same sanitation guy. There's piles of evidence to support being sorry. A single sleeping area has been fashioned in that corner. The occupant of those quarters was likely not fond of sharing space. Yeah. That sounds about right. So, no, room 3 is sorry. No, room 2 was terraforming. The other two are not as set in stone, or this one we haven't looked at yet, but the other one was only slight hints that it was the psychologists. But this one's got children's toys in it, so I think that's a big hint. That musty shelf doesn't contain anything useful to us, but it's packed with children's publications, educational books, and toys. I want to know what that drawing is. It looks kind of like a kidney or a lung. What is this kid doing? Studying anatomy? Oh, it could be like a steak, I guess. Maybe the kid was so hungry they were drawing steaks and eating them. More children's toys. These look to be some kind of homemade playset constructed from 3D printed plastic. They're very elaborate. Also can't go in the bathroom. We got a little smiley face thingy here. These are high quality running shoes. They have been broken in considerably from regular use. Oh, we know what's her face like to exercise. So, yeah, that's just more evidence that it's the mother. Bed is covered in children's books and toys. Occupant must have been one of the few new parents at the colony. So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously the room where that mother and child lived. I think her name was Pajari from my notes. So, let's say room 4 was Pajari. And then I think we don't know that many other names. Well, maybe there's another set of personnel records we still have to look at. It says use terminal again, so maybe it's the same data. Yeah, it looks like the same data as last time. So what was that last guy that was mentioned? It was the guy who, like, was fighting people? Rumsey. I'm sure we could figure out which room is his just by a process of elimination, but it doesn't hurt to take some notes. Technician. Fighter. Could put down shit starter, but yeah, fighter is good enough. What else do we have here? Got like covered wagon from Oregon Trail. I wonder if they were planning to try to like float across the river instead of fording it. In an attempt to provide more habitats, the colonists must have set up this portable emergency tent as another room. It looks filled with the remains of supplies and personal effects, so someone must have lived in it permanently. They were compromised to a permanent end in that tent. Got some boxes. As access to materials became more difficult, colonists likely used makeshift barriers like this to keep out the elements and attempt some kind of privacy. Alright, let's check out room 5. Got more sleeping bags, just like most of these other rooms. Quite a number of people occupied this room. These are certainly not ideal living conditions. Yeah, you're telling me. Can't go in the bathroom as usual. Someone put up a handmade shift schedule, likely because network systems were down. The schedule is for the medical facility. There's a cart of various drugs and instruments, along with a homemade chart for various patients. Looks like this room was used as some sort of unofficial treatment room away from the medical facility. There are discarded nurses' uniforms under all that dust and dirt. This room is in a serious state of disarray. It does look pretty messy, doesn't it? I wonder if... So this Rumsey guy, they said he was a technician. Is technician the kind of word you would use to describe a nurse? Because there's not that much evidence to suggest that this room belongs to the psychologist. The other room 1 at least had like psychology books. Those depictions look to have been made by 2 different children, judging by my analysis of the scan. According to official reports, only 3 children were born in this installation. They were all in Colony B, so my records are incomplete. That doll-like figure has been constructed from various scraps of fabric and stuffed. For handiwork, it is of surprising quality. I mean, it's not a doll-like object, it's a doll. If it's doll-like, it's a doll. It all depends on how you think about it. That's a communally accessible filtration system. Judging by the leftover residue, it used a series of filtration pucks to purify the rainwater. Even with a proper testing apparatus, that could be dangerous. By this point, however, the colonists' options were probably very few. I mean, between dying of thirst and trying to purify some acid water, I guess when you get desperate, you drink the acid water. We haven't found the remains of any of the colonists who remained here. Perhaps they are still alive somewhere? Yeah, maybe. Or they used that, humans as food idea. That emergency tent is stuffed with multiple makeshift beds. It must have housed at least 4 people. That would have been terribly cramped. Yeah, 4 people. Well, I mean, it's pretty big for a tent, but still, 4 people in a tent like that, that's reaching the bounds of what people will tolerate. A batch of angry posters has been pasted to the wall. One set reads, "Hudson Cartier left us to die." The other has a crude drawing of... Oh, is that supposed to be me? It says, We don't need AI to survive. Man, they were dragging Corey as well. I don't understand. Why would they have been angry with me? I lost all communications access. I was not able to help. Could Corey have helped? I mean, he doesn't have a physical form. But he could have, you know, suggested to the remaining people that, like, hey, why don't you go try to make contact and join resources with Colony B. Like, where was I in all this? Corey, why didn't you recruit me earlier to restore communications and save these people? But, you know, no use wondering about that now. Well, I'll just say I know, because I don't want to make Corey sad. He's a real emotional AI. He's a sensitive boy. It is both my responsibility and my desire to help the crew I serve. Had I been able to prevent this disaster, of course I would have. This is most unsettling. I had no idea the people of Colony B felt this way. I think it's best if we just continue on with our mission. Ceiling has been rigged with hoses and a crude spout solution to act as a shower system of some kind. Your scan reveals a lot of old dirt and mold built up in there. Probably hasn't been used in many months. Why is there a chair there? Is it a sit-down shower? It appears that someone converted this empty container into a sleeping area for an infant. Doesn't really look like a crib to me. Also, it looks like there's like some kind of goop coming out of it. Did a baby turn into goop in this thing? Please tell me that's not the case. Having more and more colonists occupy such small spaces would have been a problem in terms of health and sanitation. With nowhere else to go, a sick colonist could have easily infected the others, especially if ventilation was poor. What awful conditions. Yeah, it does sound pretty bad, doesn't it? Alright, room 6. Who does it belong to? Got a broken lantern. Be careful, shattered polycarbonate pieces of that broken light fixture could be enough to damage your suit. I'm sure we'll be fine. We know better than to cut open our suit. A standard issue chair has been tossed around, causing damage to the room. It's bent completely out of shape. This room is in quite a state of disarray. One of those plants looks to have been violently knocked over and never readjusted. This bed has been tossed as if someone had been moving around and over it. So it seems like the kind of messy, angry people maybe lived here, and, you know, they would like punch a lantern or kick over a plant and like wouldn't even bother to fix things when they calmed down. So maybe the aggressive fighting dude Rumsey lived in this room. Because if anyone had anger issues, it was probably that guy, right? Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's a room number 5, it's just exclamation. Or maybe there was and I ignored it for some reason. I mean, there... Hey, we know it's not here. Well, there was a room here. Yeah, it's, room S, or back... Oh. No, it is a 5, it's just a very low resolution 5. Yeah, so whose room is 5? We didn't really hear about a nurse, did we? Maybe I have to consult the personnel files again. But I wrote down notes on everybody. Yeah, okay, we got Bouchard, the psychologist. Communications, Pajari, that's the mom. We've got Sari, the studious, calm, tidy privacy guy. And Elamine, who is the terraforming person. And in the incidents, we found the violent guy, or Rumsey. Well, let's look at it again real quick. Got a justice system. Aggressive dude. And the projections. The one kid died, we know that, but no other person was mentioned, so yeah, I mean, people that we know about, we have a decent idea of what rooms they lived in. But I guess it seems like there's an implication of there being more people. Let's see what we actually needed. Okay, Elamine, that's one we know about, the terraforming lady in room 2. Sari is the privacy guy in room 3. Bouchard was the psychologist. I think he was in room 1. Rumsey was the guy who was fighting a lot, or aggressive. I think he was in room 6. And then Pajari was the lady who had a kid and liked to exercise, and she was in room 4. So we think that the code would be 2, 3, 1, 6, 4. 2, 3, 1, 6, 4. Alright. Let's try it. 2, 3, 1, 6, 4. Enter. He's done it. How terrible. It looks like a seismic event caused yet another collapse. That room looks entirely demolished. I hate to think it's true, but I think the survivors were trapped in this room when it happened. If so, they likely all perished here together. What an awful end. Yeah, that is pretty bad sounding to, like, see a bunch of people get crushed to death, or maybe they all got crushed together. To death, bro. But hey, we got the food processor we needed. The food processing unit itself is terribly out of order, but these parts will help us maintain the unit on the escape ship. What happened there in Colony B is nothing less than a tragedy. How those poor people must have suffered, right up until the end. This is all my fault. I don't see how. How is it your fault, Corey? Explain to me your reasoning. Just think about it. This all happened after the Rift event. There was no way for me to understand the depths of the suffering here, but seeing it now with you doesn't make it any easier. Those people all died thinking I abandoned them. But, I mean, you didn't really have a choice, did you? Well, one last thing before you come back. Have a look at the east side of the room. I'm picking up a light air current coming from there. Crawl through passage? It looks like a huge passage. I don't think you need to... It's much taller than me. I don't have to crawl through it. I wonder where this goes. Probably to where Pierre Tong's dead body is? Oh, that's the escape ship hangar for Colony B. My, it's even worse than I imagined. How so? Alright. Good work. I think you found the last of these schematics. This one contains highly detailed formula and notes regarding a propulsion system. Incredible. With all these improvements, the escape ship can be even better than we hoped for. You should let Mr. Tong know about this when you visit him in the Holosim chamber. Oh, I will. I'm not gonna find some schematics and not give it to him. Let's look at this ship. What a waste. The other escape ship has been completely demolished. Its prolonged exposure to the elements has rendered it useless, even for parts. That sucks. Who's this dead body? Pierre Tong, of course. As you've probably surmised, that is the body of Director Pierre Tong. This is a most surprising discovery. By all the other colonist accounts, Mr. Tong left Colony B and never returned. They felt he abandoned them. So what is he doing here? Hold on. Mr. Tong was holding a datapad when he died. Thankfully, it still has some power. I'm transferring its contents now. Well, this is incredible. It appears Mr. Tong was working on a way to improve the escape ships. His datapad contains detailed plans for upgrades. Those schematics you found must have been the first draft of these upgrades. He must have worked on them before leaving the colony. There's an audio file attached to the plans. I'll parse it for you. John, I know you doubted me. I know you thought I'd given up on everyone. Maybe for a little while I did. But, as usual, I couldn't accept defeat. So I found a way. I made those plans to help who was left. Of course, I hoped you'd be there when I got back, but you weren't. Nobody was. John, you have to believe me. I came back to help. But when I returned, everyone was either gone or dead. I was too late. I saw their signs. They thought I had failed them completely. And I guess I have. Worst of all, though, I failed you. I hope you find this. I hope you're still out there and you come back. These plans can help you survive. The audio file ends there. It was recorded 2 years ago in 2062. I don't think Mr. Lumumba ever got to hear this message. Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. Please, we've seen enough. I can't bear it anymore. Just come back home. I mean, I got nowhere else to go. I'll get home eventually. Got this plant drone here. That drone has been exposed to native elements for so long, it's adopted a quite interesting appearance. Yeah, that's for sure. I'll call him Planty. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else we can look at here. We found Pierre's body, and he is the last body we needed to find. I also found some schematics and plans and junk, and I'm sure that'll be helpful. Found the food processing parts, needed those. So... Oh, I am so sorry. For what? It's just, oh, I can't bear to think about it. Never mind. Need to grow up here, Corey. Learn to deal with death. There's been a lot of it here, so you should be used to it by now. Maybe we'll even die. There's still time. That was beyond awful. Please don't think less of me. Don't worry, that's barely possible. I'm just busting your balls, Corey. Well, I guess now we know the depths of what happened at the other colony. And now it looks like you have one last discovery to report tonight. This really has been a rough week. In the meantime, I'll be using your data to prepare the escape ship. I suppose we have to just keep moving forward. Finally, you're getting it. All we have to do is keep moving forward. Been saying that all along. Alright, so time for nap time, and then we'll have our juice box, some fruit snacks, and we'll watch Sailor Moon. Or we'll play in the Hollow Sim Chamber. Whatever happens in the Hollow Sim Chamber tonight, I think it's best if you're honest. I hope Mr. Tong isn't too upset with either of us. You know, I mean, I feel like of the group, Tong is probably the one who I would expect to handle the news of their death the best. But we'll see. We're about to tell him right now. Oh, hello again. I was making some real progress on the thruster simulations for your ship. I was a bit distracted there. What seems to be the matter? You look like you want to tell me something. Did something happen? I found you. You? Oh, I see. Well, I suppose we knew this was coming. Be honest with me. What exactly did you find? I found schematics. Well, that's not really what I expected, to be honest. This all sounds very complicated. I guess the other me, he didn't realize what he meant to the other colonists. that his personal quest would be interpreted as desertion by them. Isn't it crazy? He was doing exactly what I'm doing now for you, trying to fix an escape ship, trying to make it better so you can survive. But he wasn't being selfish. He was trying to do it for Jean, to at least give him a chance. I saw some of the scan data that Corey processed from your trip to Colony B. They hated me. Him, I suppose. They didn't really understand. What's worse, though, is that they never realized how much I tried to do to help them. At that point, though, we were all doomed. Damn it, I couldn't help Jean. I couldn't help the people who trusted me. And I couldn't even help myself. I'm a failed leader by all accounts. I mean, I think he tried to be a good leader. He just, you know, got more obsessed with the end result of everybody being saved, which is what he was aiming for. He didn't really think about the process where him leaving made the people lose hope and stuff. So, I wouldn't say he's a failed leader by all accounts. I'm sure he's a failed leader by some accounts. But, you know, no use talking negatively like that. Don't say that. Surely you can understand why I think so. So many people relied on me and I didn't come through for them. I think I know what you mean though. I guess, well, what happened these past couple of years, that wasn't even me. It's strange to think of it this way, but since Corey recreated me in here, I've been growing, learning. Suppose that means I've become my own person. And that makes me wonder if I mean the person you see in front of you right now, was there now, would I make different decisions? Would things work out? You know, it's hard to say. I can't really say either way, but you know, sometimes people want to hear some encouragement, so I'll say I think so. I think Hollow Pierre would lead the people a little bit better than real life Pierre did. Or at least that's what he wants to hear. You do, don't you? You really do. That helps, you know, that confidence you seem to have in me. It's purely for your benefit, I assure you. I appreciate you telling me the truth. It's difficult but necessary. You'd make a pretty good leader yourself. I don't know about that. And with that out of the way, let's talk about something else. We can't change the past, and there's still so much to do. What do you want to talk about tonight? Let's talk about schematics. So, you found all of those handwritten designs. Let's see what the other me was up to and what we can do with these. This will help a lot, thanks. The other me was trying to solve the problems I am now, only he had to do it on pieces of paper in his head. What, he didn't have a calculator? You see, the problem with the ship is that we couldn't predict what is happening with the planet right now. That's providing a whole new set of variables. And the extra resistance, gravity, and atmospheric changes caused by the collapse is proving too much for the escape ship as it exists now. Ship itself, that purple egg, is fine. Once you get to space, it should operate as intended, as long as the others also solve their own problems. But the bottom half, which is the first stage rocket, needs improvement. And we don't have the ability to heavily modify the ship since you're the only one left. But with all of the schematics you found, we can make some clever adjustments that don't require anyone else. This is a big deal. What else would you like to talk about? Let's talk about you, baby. Well, sure, if you're asking. Before signing up with Hudson Cartier, I was pretty much a lone wolf. I didn't like to manage people or even worry about them, so I usually stuck to myself. Yeah, you seem like a lone wolf. How did they rope you into being a leader when you're clearly so bad at it? And I remember when I was quite young and still at school, being both very presumptuous and aggressive in my studies. How can someone be presumptuous in your studies? Like, you didn't actually study things, you just assumed you knew what the answers would be or something? One time, another student and I produced detailed technical reports for an engineering class. You know, schematics. Rational of real-world applications, that kind of thing. I read the other student's report and I knew it wasn't as good as mine. It was solid, well-researched, but not creative, not as revolutionary. Well, when we received our evaluations, I was horrified to learn we had gotten the same grade. I was livid and I told my instructors. In fact, I made everyone's life hell for a few days, demanding to know how they could merit our efforts equally even though my work was better. Sounds like you were kind of a little shit, to be honest. I'll just say... that's intense. I was a very intense young man. Almost seething, you know? I took everything so seriously back then. Well, that's kind of relatable. Like, when you're young, everything seems, like, serious and a big deal, and then you get older and you realize none of it even matters a little bit. Nobody cares about it. In 5-10 years, whatever happened isn't gonna matter at all and no one's gonna remember it. I wouldn't let the administration go without changing the marks. I felt my work had to be recognized as superior to the other students. But what I realized later was how awful I'd been. That in trying to demand that recognition of my own ability, I was undermining that of the girls. It took me a long time to mature from that point, and as my recognition throughout the world grew, I realized how selfish and petty that all was. Well, at least you realized it later. That's good. So when we chose candidates for this facility, I looked for that. I looked for me all those years ago. And anyone who reminded me of that didn't make the cut. Okay, good, so you tried not to bring assholes along. That's a good decision. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you still ended up bringing a lot of assholes along, including some of the people we've seen. But, you know, how could you have known, right? Let's talk about Colony B. Of course, yes, let's go over what you saw out there. Really seemed like the colonists did their best to maintain order out there. They were good people, smart, driven. Maybe part of me thought that the people would survive on their own, that they didn't need me. Obviously, that wasn't completely true. I didn't know how to be a leader in a way. The other colonists needed a beacon, perhaps. Sometimes when you trust and respect people, you actually neglect them. You don't give them the support they need because you don't think they need it. Man, this is actually like... It's kind of deep and worthy of some self-reflection here. Yeah, I might have to think on that a little bit later. Pierre's got some wisdom. I didn't think he had it in him. I demanded a lot from people, and they always delivered. In leaving Colony B, I guess I took everyone else for granted. But I couldn't see that at the time. They thought I abandoned them, when I probably just assumed they'd be okay. It was an arrogant mistake. I don't know. I don't know if it was an arrogant mistake. I mean, that's just the call sometimes. You gotta go with your gut. I don't know. I mean, it was a bit arrogant. But I don't know if I feel strongly enough about that to say, like, yeah, it definitely was. I can see that it was a complicated situation, so I'll just say, I don't know about that. It's a tough situation either way. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But in the end, I guess at least my actions will help you out. They better, Pierre. I can get Corey to delete you. Learning about the fate of the other me, that wasn't easy, but your willingness to be honest with me has only made me more dedicated to completing the work I've started here. This facility may be a lost cause, and I may never forgive myself for its failure, but spending this time with you has reminded me of something pretty important. The fact that we're not perfect, that we can't always be judged to be the highest in our field. That doesn't matter. A long time ago, I couldn't have said that. I'm going to use this new information and get this damn ship to work. You can bet on that. You're gonna get off this forsaken planet. Thanks for bringing me around. I don't think I could have got over this hump without you. I'm with you. I know you are, and it means a lot, believe me. Well, no point wasting cycles. I'm going to complete this work. See you soon. That was a pretty interesting conversation, I think. I mean, we finally sort of got down to the bottom of Pierre Tong and what kind of leader he was, and sort of his reasoning behind why he behaved as he did, and you can kind of see it from his perspective. Like, maybe he really did think that the way he was most useful was not really as like a political sort of leader, but as a getting things done kind of, like, he wanted to design the solution to let them all escape. Not, you know, be there for them in their time of need. So, that's sort of an understandable line of reasoning, even if it didn't really end up working out in the end. But, you know, Pierre, not a bad guy. Kind of relatable in some ways. And what else did we do this time? We found some food processor parts, and it seems like, you know, our ship should be good to go by the time we need to get out of here, because got the parts, got the the plans, everybody's hard at work. So we'll see if everything goes according to plan next time. So until then, have a good one.